We have the wonderful pleasure of being joined by Kimberly O'Donnell, Chief Fundraising Officer here at Bonterra. Kimberly is an innovator known for piloting new products and coaching methodologies designed towards more effective technology and performance optimization. A certified executive coach, Kimberly leads Bonterra's coaching and consulting program, which focuses on leadership coaching for nonprofits and corporate social responsibility programs. In addition to working in software and SaaS and the nonprofit sector, Kimberly has also worked in education, healthcare, financial services, and the luxury/retail market. So, with that, Kimberly, I want to pass it to you for today.
Thank you. And hi, everyone. I am so excited to be talking with you about making the most of Giving Tuesday activities so that you can really drive up your fundraising success this year. Giving season is the most glorious time of the year for fundraisers and many nonprofits because a third of all of 2024 giving is going to occur during those last 4 to 5 weeks of the year, depending on what day Giving Tuesday falls, or in November or December of any given year. And then 10% of all giving occurs during the last 3 days of the year. So that is a huge amount of opportunity for nonprofits to really engage their constituents, really grow their supporters, and raise more than past years. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how you can run a stronger campaign with some great tactics, tips, and tech. We're going to step into the state of the sector, why Giving Tuesday is important to your fundraising efforts, and some lessons that have been learned from past years, and some tips and tactics on how to get in and really ramp things up this year. So a couple of things about me. I am a fast talker, so I'm going to try to slow down. I also get really, really excited about talking about fundraising and year-end giving particularly. So you're going to see a lot of excitement and emotion and speed with me. Also know that we've packed a lot of great information into our slides. So, just know that this is going to be a bit of a ride for the next hour. Please pull out a piece of paper or take some notes on your computer so that you can catch some ideas and tips and tricks that you can take on and put in place later. So let's jump into things. First, let's level set and talk about the state of the sector. And as we talk about the state of the sector, I really always love hearing and seeing what organizations we have here. And I can see a couple of them have already come in. Junior League of Boise, Idaho. I'm seeing Pig Cloud Foundation in Minneapolis. We've got an adjunct professor and grant writing consultant here from Massachusetts. We've got Cancer Link in Richmond. We have nonprofit leaders and fundraisers and consultants from all over the world on this call. We had a huge demand for registration, one of the biggest that we've seen all year. And why is that? Because this is an important time and a really important topic to be talking about. So feel free, if you haven't already, drop in your organization's name, where you're from, and if you want, tell us a little bit about how long you've been a fundraiser or a nonprofit leader, because that also helps give us a little bit of insight too. Have you been doing this a long time? Is this new to you? Let's get to know you a bit. So state of the sector. This comes from the Fundraising Effectiveness Project, AFP data, and Giving Tuesday data. So we're pooling all of this together. There's a quarterly fundraising report that comes out. These are great resources for data if you're looking for some hard data to share with your board. But you can also note these here. So what are some of the key takeaways that we have learned from Giving Tuesday and year-end fundraising from last year? One of the things we learned, and we've been seeing this as a continued trend, is that there are declining numbers of donors, and we are seeing less dollars coming from large donors. Still, we are seeing a lot of people who are still trying to put their energies into cultivating and growing major gifts, and that's great. but there's also a shrinking pie there. And so be sure if that's a tactic that you have really been going after to diversify. And as you plan out your year-end activities, to really include those, what we would call everyday donors in that mix, and really think about how you can best diversify your base. There are large decreases in the overall donor counts, right? And what we're seeing is that there's weaker acquisition rates and lower retention of new donors. So that's why after year end, well, really, that's why after Giving Tuesday, it's important to touch those great donors and supporters that you had. They have the potential to give another gift before year end, by the way. And why in January, you also want to touch them with follow-on activities that we're going to talk about, like a welcome kit for new donors, and really engage your existing donors with maybe some ideas around, or maybe a notice about upcoming events that you are having. Engagement is key, and donor retention is really important because that's what sets you up next year for greater success. Your bucket of funds will be less leaky if you have sustainers helping you and you are retaining more dollars. So here's some facts about what is going on in this sector. Another thing to see here is just that we have declining donors, but we don't have declining donor fatigue. People will often ask or think, my donors are tired. They're tired of giving. That's actually not the case. What we've seen time and time again through surveys and other research is that donors want to give. They just aren't being asked to give in the ways in which they may want to respond. And there's some contributing factors around this. And you can see we've got what is this? 11 years of data here that can show the trends of the declining dollars. But we are seeing that there is a widening wealth gap. We're seeing a decline in donors who are giving less than $100, and then we're seeing the decline on major donors as well, or rather the amounts that they're giving. And then there's the challenge of just having more nonprofits in this sector, so greater competition. There's 1.5 million 501c3 organizations in the US. And so you've got some greater competition. There's also more ways to give, different platforms, and people are giving through those platforms. So the question for your organization is, are you on some of those newer, more modern platforms? And are your giving pages really optimized for ease of use and success? So those are some of the key takeaways that we have here. Just going to look here and give a shout out to some of the folks who are typing in where they're from: the Handmaiden House, Fox Femina, Los Angeles. We've got somebody here who's been fundraising for 20 years, but is out on their own. So there's just some really great connections here as well through our chat that you can see. So what I want to do is I want to pause for a moment. You've heard some of the national statistics. They haven't changed much, by the way. This has been a continuing pace for the last few years. And so what I'd like to hear is what you and your organization are focused on right now. Let's get a sense from our crowd what you are focused on. Are you acquiring new donors? Are you upgrading existing donors? Are you looking to better leverage your board to help fundraise, which I always hear is a big desire? Are you looking to diversify your base of supporters? You really want to have a much more diverse set of supporters. And supporters can be volunteers. They can be folks who are helping you with advocacy, as well as donors. And then are you looking to strengthen your communications around your supporters, really kind of tighten up the ways and the methods in which you are communicating and engaging?
Yeah, it looks like, to almost no surprise, most folks are focused on acquiring new donors. Overwhelming majority are looking to acquire new donors, and then it's pretty spread out throughout the rest. We got a couple of people in the chat saying all of the above, but most are acquiring new donors or focused on that.
Okay, all right, that's great. And as we talk about that, I'll be sprinkling some things in then that we can really, that hopefully will help you think about that. One of the things that I want to say just right out of the gate is, who are the donors that you are trying to acquire? Some of you may be going, anybody. Others are going, I want major donors. Others are going, I really would like, the type of donors that we are getting today because I know who my donors are. And so I'd like more of them. I'd like lookalikes. I encourage you to go beyond the lookalikes and really start to think strategically about the generations that you are targeting. Are you targeting everybody who has Facebook and maybe a smattering of Instagram? If so, then you are targeting a generation of people that are not going to be there in 20 years for you in the same way. You need to be targeting younger populations, and you need to meet them where they are on the social platforms that they are. So as you think about your need to acquire new donors, I'm going to put on my coaching hat, folks. And during this next, 45 minutes that we have left, I'm going to be a little tough at times. And I'm really going to ask you, like I am right now, how are you going to meet younger donors if you're not on the platforms that they are on today? And you may go, well, we don't have the time for it to learn a new platform. I don't know how to use it. Well, you didn't know how to use Facebook many years ago. We have to step outside of our comfort zone at times and really start to try new things that are going to reach new populations of people that are going to be our donors. Sure, you're looking for people to give this year and next year and maybe the year after, but you also need to be looking for people who are going to be giving in 5 years and 10 years. You've got to prime the pump. So begin to think about that. So let's talk about our starting point for this year's fundraising. One, go back, take a little bit of time, give yourself a half an hour or an hour and review your 2023 outcomes. Know your numbers that you raised, understand and really think strategically about what worked and why and how Giving Tuesday fit into it. Then step into what your 2024 goals are. How am I tracking against my goal for this year? What budget do I have left that I can leverage? And what is truly riding on my success this year? Like, what do I need? Do I need the supporters? Do I need the dollars? Do I need to engage my board members so that they feel more active? Now, I know some of you are saying all of the above, Kimberly, all of the above. I get it. But we can't do it all as one person. And many of you are at smaller organizations, you're small shops, you might be at small to mid-sized organizations, right? But there are only a handful of you within your organization that can do some of this. So begin to think about what is most important and what you can do most effectively. And then also think about, so that's your available resources and bandwidth here. Think about what you can try that could be new and improved. We cannot keep doing the same old every year and expect change. You cannot go out and send fundraising communications to the same pool of people and expect to raise as much money. It just won't. There will be a decline. It'll slowly decline because you're touching the same pool of people. You need more people to raise more money. And you can, through that same pool of people, you can upgrade some. That is a great strategy to use that same pool of people. But begin to think what can be new and improved. And then also think about how you can measure your goals and outcomes as you go. And then what your cadence is going to be. How many communications are you going to have? What will that follow-up look like? Follow-up is important. Do not love and leave your donors. That just is cruel. So, we don't like it and they don't like it either. They need to be loved and they need to be followed up with. And then what milestones and checkpoints are going to have along the way where you can celebrate with your colleagues, with your board, some of the steps that you've taken, small and big, to really help this feel like you are on a journey and you have momentum and you are making progress, because just looking at a dollar sign at the end of the year is not going to get everybody super jazzed about year-end fundraising and the campaign that you're going through. So think a little bit about what reflection and rest you might need to step into this next campaign cycle, this year-end giving period, with energy, inspiration, enthusiasm, and a commitment to do and be your very best this season. I did see in the chat there is a question about the political, what the election is going to be like. And so I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So stay tuned. All right, so there are so many touches during year end, and I'd like you to begin thinking about this as we move through this webinar. You're going to do a year end direct mail appeal, likely. You might want to have a reminder, a postcard or something that you send to those who didn't respond to the first one. You're going to have texts and emails, social media posts. Like, look at this and understand that year-end giving and your campaign is not one email. It is not one direct mail piece. It is not two. It is many. It is a multi-channel campaign effort that you are going to launch, and you can do it. And if you're nervous about it, there are tools available to help you. So for example, within Bonterra, we have Network for Good. And Network for Good has a full-blown there's a full-blown template for year-end giving it's like Mad Libs, right? Like, you can walk through your direct mail letter, you can walk through emails and texts, putting in your information, kind of customizing it with your story that you're going to have, your themes, your visuals. But it's all pre-made for you so that you can go in, you can use this software, and then you can begin to execute. And it's a huge time saver. It's also developed by our coaches, our fundraising coaches, who are experts in the field, who have been doing this for a number of years, and it's been tested against literally thousands of nonprofits. So it's a really great tool if you haven't used anything like it before. So let's step into Giving Tuesday. How did you recognize Giving Tuesday last year? Let's just do a quick poll.
Lots of responses coming in. It looks like most people just asked for donations. A good amount also recognize their supporters, but I would say the majority just asked for donations. And some folks did not participate last year.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks. I did have a question about whether this webinar will be run again this year. You can receive the recording or share that with other organizations that you think might find this of use. I know we do have some other year-end fundraising webinars that are planned. And if you are a Network for Good customer, we actually have several year-end themed. We have a series of year-end webinars planned from now through the end of the year. So there you go. Something to think about with Giving Tuesday, 34 million Americans engaged in Giving Tuesday. So if you think, I don't need to participate in Giving Tuesday, I would really challenge you to rethink that. You're here today for ideas and inspiration. So I'm imagining that you are in it in some way. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can be even more in it. And Bonterra is a platform partner with Giving Tuesday, which means we provide anonymized data that they then use in their overall results. And we've been doing that since the very beginning. And so it's something that we've been really proud of being part of. And as you can see, 34 million participants just within Bonterra. Bonterra's the donors who are donors to Bonterra clients supported about 33,000 nonprofits. That's 280,000 donors participated through Bonterra's channels, and really just an amazing, massive amount of money. Almost $131 million was processed through Giving Tuesday week through Bonterra Solutions. We have the capability to truly manage a massive amount of donations and giving that occurs during any periods, crisis moments, as well as giving days. And so it's always amazing and really heartening for all of our team to be able to follow the results day of Giving Tuesday and throughout the week. So you can see volunteer hours left. We have corporations who are also participating through our platforms, 164 very large Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. And overall, $3.1 billion was raised, and that was an increase of 6% year over year. So as you think about Giving Tuesday, last year, did you raise more or less? And we're going to do this one really fast because I want to keep us rolling, because we're going to start to hop into some tips. We've now gone through some of the data. We're going to move into tips. What do we have,
Yeah,
Ashley?
this is pretty spread out. This is pretty even across the board. I would say the most we're seeing is they did raise more, but it's pretty spread out evenly. All different kinds of responses.
Woo, okay, well let's focus on raising more this year. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, folks. As you look at the overall gift size breakdown for Giving Tuesday, what you see is that there's a nice chunk of $50 to $500 gifts. It amounts to about 44% of the total gifts given. You got a lot of small ones, but you know, really from anywhere from $1 to $500 is a big chunk here. The larger gifts, of course, is going to make up a bigger portion of the pie, but you still have some really nice giving, you know, bands going on here. And the other thing that we know is that Giving Tuesday expands beyond a singular date. It used to be give on Giving Tuesday. What we're finding is that people are giving throughout the course of the week. So you'll want to plan your activities to really kind of ride more of that tail. And so, you know, what we advise is we advise organizations to start on Sunday, really kind of beginning to post email about Giving Tuesday, do some texts, you know, to really get folks in the mindset that Giving Tuesday is coming up. Really go with full momentum on Tuesday, Monday night in through Tuesday, but then also kind of provide results and touches during the rest of the week because giving will still occur. And so these are called shoulder days. That's the term for them. Okay, so let's hop into some Giving Tuesday or lessons learned. One, the number of Giving Tuesday donors continues to grow despite industry trends. And what we see, this little chart over here is from Bonterra's Giving Days that we do. And what we did was we mapped out by month donation volume for Giving Days and moments and key moments. And what you're able to see here is really during April, when college giving days are huge, we see a massive amount of giving that occurs. College giving days and also community giving days, there's a lot of them then. And then also during Giving Tuesday, you see that darker purple band here, that's higher volume donations. So that's us being a little wonky with the data. But what you're able to see is that there is dollars being raised on giving days that are higher than other days and other periods during the course of the year. Total dollars raised on Giving Tuesday increased by 5%. Incentives really work. We're going to talk about matched gifts in a little bit. And you really should lean into both this giving day, Giving Tuesday, and any other community giving days that you might have. I'd love to have you listen to this quick little video. It's a little testimonial with the executive director of Amplify Austin. Amplify Austin is a group that promotes giving to more than 700 nonprofits in the greater Austin area. And the executive director, Piper Stage Nelson, is here to kind of share a little bit about what happens on their main giving day as well as their Giving Tuesday. And what they do is they use the same platform to promote both days. So let's have a listen.
Amplify Austin Day is obviously the biggest giving event for us. Giving Tuesday is another incredible opportunity, and we use our Amplify APX for Giving Tuesday, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, to ensure that people give on day as well as the next. And last year, through our platform, we raised an additional $251,000 for the over 700 nonprofits that are honored by ATX.
So what do we know from that? What I would recommend is to go out and look and see if there are community giving partnerships that you might be able to leverage during Giving Tuesday and giving season. Is anyone doing a giving day around you? It'll help you with exposure, certainly help you from a marketing standpoint, an awareness standpoint, and potentially from a fundraising standpoint as well. Oops, sorry. So finding two, as competition among nonprofits increase, your solicitation techniques should improve. So you want to have a multi-channel approach. You know, think about the ways in which your constituent base likes to be reached. online and offline tactics, events, texting, direct mail, email. The most popular ways to give, donors give during Giving Tuesday are via credit card, mobile wallet, and electronic transfer. So keep that in mind. Reach them where they are. Make sure that your giving pages are mobile friendly, and that you are ready to help make transactions very easy for folks. And then, also look for peer-to-peer fundraising opportunities to really broaden your reach. Here are some things about what worked on Giving Tuesday last year. So the most popular times to send emails were between 11 and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the most popular times to send text messages were between 6 to 11 p.m. And so what do we want to know about this? Why is this helpful to us? Well, most people are at their desks on email during the course of the day, so they may see those emails more frequently. And then after work, people are going to be switching to more text. You'll want to think about how you can break through some of what you might consider competition. I know that there was a question in the Q&A about that. How do we deal with the competition that's out there? We can't compete with them. You're not competing with them. You really are spreading your message. You are out there communicating with your base of supporters, and you are celebrating the concept of Giving Tuesday, because I betcha there are many people who will give to more than one charity on Giving Tuesday. I give to probably 5 or 6 at least. And so there are opportunities for you by participating in Global Tuesday, the global day of giving, Giving Tuesday, the global day of giving, to really be part of that movement and also receive a gift. Here's some communication tips that might work for you. 1, begin to segment your list so that you can personalize communications to either different individuals who are more focused in a program area of yours, or you feel like you might be able to ask for a larger gift, right? You could maybe upgrade some folks, and really begin to think about how you can segment your list to be more personal and approachable. Use some video acknowledgments. You might have 1 or 2 canned beforehand that you can send out. For donations over a certain dollar amount, perhaps you may have your board president, your executive director, a volunteer. You could spread it out, give them a script, and send them, send them the script, have them record the thank you, and you can send it on along to the individual. Those personal video acknowledgments go a long way. At Bonterra, we've done some testing in the past where we've seen when someone gets a video acknowledgement saying, Sally, thank you so much for your gift. It really meant so much to us today on Giving Tuesday, and it's really going to accelerate our mission. When they get a video like that, they have a higher chance of actually giving a second gift very quickly after. So think about that and use that as a motivator to step out and do some of those video acknowledgments. People have gotten overwhelmed in the past doing them for every single donor. So pick a certain threshold. I want to, do these for folks who have given over $250 or $500. And then spread the wealth in terms of who will record them. Schedule some virtual coffees with major donors and board members around Giving Tuesday and key volunteers. Have some fun with it, interact with them. I always encourage folks to put together a script and leverage your board and your volunteers to actually do thank you calls to donors. You don't have to tell them how much the donor has given. Instead, give them their contact information, have them do thank you calls and send messages, or you could even do handwritten notes if you want. The thank you calls do work, and it really kind of primes the pump for Giving Tuesday and Giving Season. I would start those probably the 2nd week of November. I like to have them all completed before Thanksgiving, and it's a great tie-in. We are getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, and at our organization, we really appreciate the work that you have, the gifts that you have given, or if as a volunteer, the support and volunteering that you have done. And we are so excited as we step into the holiday season to really be more and do more in this coming year. And I just want to take a minute to thank you for your help. We truly appreciate you. You don't have to ask for a gift. You don't have to say much more. It can be a 30-second little thing, but you have the board members do it and key volunteers, and it can help ramp up your giving. Puts your organization in the donor's mind right around the right time that they're going to be giving. You can use group videos, and then begin to boost your social media interaction. You want to ramp that up because you want to have more visibility. Moving on, digital. What's working with digital? I attended a webinar earlier this year from Mission Wire. They gave some great, really tangible advice. You know, they said graphics with movement, animated GIFs are working in email. Graphics with hand-drawn elements are really working on both social and in email. Direct-to-cameo appeal. See this little guy here looking straight at the camera, talking to us? That is resonating with donors. And then another thing that I thought was really interesting was organizations were putting in their emails in their year-end campaign early on. They'll have something in the bottom or in the line of the email that they are, you know, a 5-star rated organization. They will they'll write something in there that shows that they are a great organization and that the charity watchdog sites, you know, have rated them so, and that'll help reduce any friction in giving later on. You've already set the stage. We're a legit charity. Give to us. And then let's talk about the election cycle. People get nervous about the election cycle and giving. What data has shown us in the last 10 presidential elections is that charitable giving increased 9 out of 10 of the last presidential elections. The only time when charitable giving didn't increase was during the 2008 Great Recession. But in all other presidential elections, charitable giving actually went up. We also found that political giving will spike as a percentage of total giving right before the election, and then it will begin to dissipate. So people are giving at the beginning of November, and then by Giving Tuesday and year end, they're back to their giving practices. So I wouldn't worry about competition with the election in terms of dollars raised. Where you may have some concern is just around the noise that it's going to be generated between now and the election. So think about that. I've heard that, you know, advertising can be a bit more expensive, maybe up to 20% more higher in cost. But, you know, just plan your campaign accordingly and make sure that you are not sending your solicitation letter out, you know, that week before the election, because it's going to get lost in all of the campaign mail that's out there. So just plan around it and you should be fine. Mobile messaging, what's working? You know, begin now. Why don't you send out a survey to your constituents to update their information, to make sure that you have the latest and greatest information from them, and ask them to opt in to receive text messaging if you don't have that already. That's a great way to collect information. Make sure that your communication is very brief and straightforward. Here's another thing about what's working with text messaging. Avoid quiet hours. Don't send out text messages before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. So you want to respect people's quiet hours. And then use it in, you know, be responsible. Don't spam someone. You can see here just a little bit of some stats on the bottom. On average, nonprofits have about 158 mobile subscribers for every 1,000 donors. And guess what? It can help to have those mobile subscribers because they actually raise nearly $100. So that's pretty cool. Raise $92 for every 1,000 messages sent. Looking at a couple of the questions. Okay, so since Giving Tuesday is so late this year, do you suggest sending out a winner appeal before Giving Tuesday? Yes, I would. I'd probably send it right after the election, that following week. I would get that out. And then it's going to take, you know, like a week in the mail or so. You want it to hit. I usually like to have them hit definitely by November 15th. If I can squeeze it up to November 10th, I try. But that's just something that I kind of shoot for and have done in the past. So Giving Tuesday is not just about the donations. There are lots of people who are volunteering. Are there volunteering activities that you can do around Giving Tuesday that week, perhaps, that you could really celebrate? Or let's say you need to do them like the week beforehand or 2 weeks beforehand, then use those images in your Giving Tuesday posts and promotion, and really show how your community is coming together to work and focus on your mission. So there's lots of ways that you can leverage some really great volunteer stories and visuals. And you can also create and use that as a catalyst to recruit more volunteers on Giving Tuesday. And so that there is a lot of benefit to having some non-monetary asks that you are peppering through your Giving Tuesday communications. I like to celebrate volunteers. You might have a webpage that you put up that really celebrates your volunteers, or your board, or some of your corporate partners. There's great ways that you can bring a lot of cool attention to your volunteers in and around Giving Tuesday, and also throughout the rest of that year. So giving days, what's working? Because this is a big giving day. A couple of things that I would do just out of the box is I would go back to my giving pages. I might have a Giving Tuesday page. I might have a theme for my giving season, and Giving Tuesday sort of folds into that. If you do, then make sure that it's all, all tied together with a really nice looking theme and visuals. If you're unable to do that, then I would think about whether or not I do want a standalone Giving Tuesday page, or if I'm going to send them to my main giving page. And the reason why it might be useful to have a standalone page for Giving Tuesday is that then you can track it a little bit better. You can also you don't have to have as much copy on it. People don't necessarily need to read all about your organization on the giving page. By the time they've gotten to your giving page, they're ready to make a donation. So make it easy for them. Make it mobile friendly. Here's 2 examples. So Amplify Austin here on the right, super easy. This is an every action giving page. That's one of Bonterra's platforms. And then on the left is a Network for Good giving page. So both super easy to use. Ask for help from others, so ask for your board to spread the word, give them some talking points, give them some blurbs that they can use for posting. Begin to collect heartwarming stories and impact that you can celebrate throughout the day, and then also provide to your stakeholders who are going to be promoting, and then just follow up afterwards. Finding number 5, new donors acquired on Giving Tuesday and end of year are more likely to be retained. So this is something that I want you to remember. If you remember nothing else, remember this. You are playing a long game, and Giving Tuesday and year-end donors are more likely to be retained than those who gave at any other point during the year. So that's super important to think about. First data point here, 56% of donors that gave through Bonterra charities, which is tens of thousands, have identified as being new to the organization. So you can acquire many new donors. 31% of new Giving Tuesday and year-end donors made a repeat gift to the organization. So there's a great opportunity for you to bring in new supporters and then have them retain and give again. So that's from Bonterra's customers. Now from the Association of Fundraising Professionals, AFP, 53% had a higher retention rate of new donors acquired in November, December, compared to the new donors acquired between January and October. That's huge. And they also have a higher lifetime value, 15% higher lifetime value. So that's pretty big. And that's donors who gave on December 31st compared to other donors had a higher lifetime value. Do not close up shop on December 31st. I know it's hard, but you are going to be getting gifts, and you do want to make sure that you are set up for giving success during those last 3 days of the year. This just shows the breakdown of new and returning donors. And so your folks who give on Giving Tuesday tend to come back year after year and give again. They get into the groove. They like the concept of Giving Tuesday. They're going to give again. So celebrate that in your communications as well. Employee finding number 6. I'm going to just kind of take a quick peek here. You all can read this while I look here. Oh, we've got some very specific things. All right, we're going to hop into these in just a couple minutes. But the last question from Christina was around what's the difference with a pitch between corporate giving versus individuals for Giving Tuesday? And we're going to talk about that right now. So as you can see here, 84% of donors are more likely to give if a matched gift is offered. So please go out and get a matched gift. We're going to talk about that shortly, how to do it. And then think about what tools exist that can help with matched gift functionality. So you can be able to have, make it easy for organizations to, the corporate partners. There are tools. Bonterra has cyber grants, or what we call strategic philanthropy platform for corporate donors. And then we also have something called Front Door for nonprofits to register. So you can go to Front Door and register your nonprofit, and it makes it easier for corporate partners to be able to provide corporate and matching gift funds to your organization. So go check that out. And this just shows you the value of employee giving on Giving Tuesday. So why are matched gifts so important? Now, these matched gifts could be corporate. They could also be individual matched gifts with an individual who provides a major gift. This is from one of Bonterra's companies called GiveGab, who have been doing giving days for years and years and years. And you can see the difference in value between what you can raise with a matched gift versus when you don't have one. So there's a real obvious incentive there to go out and get a matched gift. So how do we do that? Well, let's look at the bottom here first where it says donor matches. You could go out and ask one of your major donors or a board member to provide the matched gift for Giving Tuesday. And then so often it's really good for year end during those last couple of days of the year as well. It could be a pooled group of funds. I have had several board members who've come together with large gifts, and we pooled those together and we said, you know, our board of directors has come forward with, a one-to-one match of every gift that is raised. Or you can have different configurations. Feel free to, you can go out and Google, lots of ways to do match gifts, but it's great to have them. So it can be single or pooled, and you can use them at different periods to really drive necessity of giving that day. So having it on Giving Tuesday is really great. Let's talk about corporate giving and how you can really tap into that a bit more during Giving Tuesday and giving season this year. One thing is you can have some really compelling assets that your corporate partners can use in their communications. Many large corporations participate in giving days, they participate in Giving Tuesday, and you have year-end campaigns. You just may not be tied into them yet. But if you're able to show them that you have video and you have other things, there's volunteer opportunities, then your corporate partners may be more interested in kind of connecting with you because they're looking for things that they can promote to their employees around this period of time too. You could also offer to host a lunch and learn session for their employees on Giving Tuesday or around those shoulder days, right? You could also work with your corporate partners to help them think about a realistic fundraising goal that they can set for Giving Tuesday and for year end. Really help them think strategically about what their employees and their foundation might be able to do if they have a corporate foundation. Also find out whether there is an option for an added incentive on Giving Tuesday. Some organizations, some companies might provide a 2-to-1 match. So it would behoove you right now to reach out to some of the corporate partners that you might have, or maybe take a step and reach out to some new ones and ask them what their plans are for year end and Giving Tuesday, and talk with them about how your organization might be able to work with them. Be really cool, and it does it, and it's a great way to just touch those different corporate partners right now and help develop those relationships if you don't already have them. So another thing to think about as you are putting together your campaigns is trust. There's been a lot of research around the concept of trust with your donors. And trust is really at the center of our social good ecosystem and why donors are giving. 81% of those surveyed in the Trust in Civil Society survey from 2 years ago said, I need to know a great deal about an organization before I choose to support it. Now, I'm going to caution you, that doesn't mean that you throw everything about an organization into your email, your direct mail, your social media, your social media posts. You can't do it. There just isn't enough space for it. But you can put together a nice little impact infographic that you can send out, right? Like there are ways in which you can show the real depth of work that you and success that you are making towards your mission. 78% said nonprofits must earn my trust before I support them. So think about that as you communicate with your prospects, right? Your supporters, your donors, any new prospects that you have for gifts. How are you showing them authenticity and being a trustworthy partner to them? Are you following up with them quickly? Are you inviting them to participate in other ways other than just asking for gifts? Are you creating communications that allow for action and celebration? Are you being concise and respectful of their time? So think about that and how you can begin to build more lasting relationships with your supporters, how you can be more personalized with them. And how you can leverage automation to do that. A lot of people become overwhelmed. They're like, whoa, personalization, creating trust. Those are kind of heavy things. They're heavy things. That's going to take more time than an email. It is, but you can do these things in thoughtful ways. You don't have to blast your entire base of supporters with the exact same message. So that goes back to the segmenting that we were talking about. You can also A/B test some of the work that you're doing to really figure out what messages, what subject lines are resonating. Those are some things that you can begin to do to better understand what's going to resonate. And you can treat your donors a little differently in how you communicate with them. If you find that that folks are responding via mobile text, right, or they're online, you still want to have some other communications with them. You don't want to go all in one communication channel, because what we're finding is that someone may see an email, but they may go online and give the gift separately from that. Or they may see the email, they may see your text message, and then they click through the text message. So you want to give folks different mediums to see your messages and really absorb them. But you can use automation to do that. And you can set up your flow of when those different emails and texts and the videos that you use go out. So other things for building trust, and I'm keeping an eye on the time. We have about 9 minutes left, and we have a couple of questions, but we only have a few more slides. So what works with building trust? Infographics are great that you can use, really put together some neat visuals. Go out and ensure that all of your charity watchdog sites are complete and current. People are going to research your organization. It's really easy to do, right? You can just hop on your phone and look up, your charity, and also check it against, GuideStar within Candid or Charity Navigator. So you want to make sure that those things are up to date. And then also leverage many voices of support. That's one way to help build trust. Don't have all of the communications coming from you, the executive director, or you, the fundraiser, or you, the board president. look at it as you have many different characters within your organization. Service recipients, if that's appropriate, sometimes it isn't. You want to be able to practice ethical storytelling here. But, definitely volunteers and, the program manager, different people have different perspectives about why they're involved with your organization. And so you want to lift them up and have them also tell their stories. And that's one of the things that if you think about all of your favorite shows that you watch on Netflix and at other places, you really dive into the many different characters that exist. And that's one of the beautiful things that nonprofits have that they really don't leverage enough, are all of these incredible voices who love your organization and are tied to them in different ways and have lots of different stories that they can tell. And you don't have to have that full story told in that one communication that goes out. You can also build momentum and begin to tell the story through different pieces of communication. But that's a whole nother webinar. But I'm just planting the seed for you. Also use role models for every generation. There's some data out there that talks about Gen Z, who have found so many role models within their own age range. So many amazing younger individuals who have really stood up and started nonprofits and have led huge social causes. And so they look to their peers to be role models. So that is something that you want to think about generationally. How are you leveraging many different types of role models in your storytelling? Being transparent, following up with clarity. Here are some ideas around what to do in January, because at the stroke of midnight, it's time to begin to engage with them more and invite donors to continue to be involved with your organization. So sending a welcome kit. Updating your board with some really great visuals and heartwarming anecdotes will help them feel good and empowered and want to participate next year too. Having some handwritten thank you notes to major donors. And creating videos and celebrating with your team some of the accomplishments, and also noting down your lessons learned and some ideas for the future. I'm going to take a quick poll and see how you're feeling right now. We've covered a lot. Are you feeling energized, ready to try new things? Are you feeling pretty solid? Like what we've got is good. I'm going to kind of go with the status quo, but like this is all giving me some food for thought. Are you feeling overwhelmed and you want to catch up? Are you still just not sure?
Well, good news. Most folks are definitely energized. They're ready to try new things. We've got a good amount of folks that do feel a little overwhelmed, but most are energized.
Awesome. I hope so. I'm talking to you in September, so there's still so much time and opportunity. It's really just about creating, your list and really thinking about what you can do week by week and keeping at it. Don't fall. Like just get up and do what you can and keep on going and just set some milestones for each week. What to do now? Here are some things. We've already talked about them, but those are the key things to get started on in September. And then these are just some of the key takeaways that we have. And we've kind of talked about this, so I'll let you just look at them very quickly. And then I just want to mention, if you are interested and in need some help, Bonterra's fundraising coaches have some great advice and support and tools that are available. Now, you have to be a Bonterra customer to leverage our fundraising coaches. We have 25 of them who are working one-on-one with charities across the country. And they really help them sort of strategize and begin to think about how to scale their organizations in meaningful ways. But it's just food for thought for you. And then we have a bunch of upcoming webinars that we'd love for you to hop on and also listen and learn from. We've got some post GivingTuesday donor recognition and retention ideas that you're going to see in October, writing effective appeals in October, and then some last minute GivingTuesday tips that are coming up. So lots to see and do here. I'm going to pop us over into the Q&A now and stop sharing, and we're going to go through some of these questions that folks had. Ashley, I don't know if you saw any that were really key right now that you want to touch on first.
Yeah, we had a lot of great questions coming through either the chat or Q&A. One that came in that I think is really interesting and was posed in the Q&A was whether or not you should be stating a fundraising goal on your social media campaigns, like how you can do on Facebook or other crowdfunding sites, or should you just kind of leave it open? Is there any best practices on that?
It really depends on the organization and what you're trying to do. You could do both, and both are fine. A fundraising goal for Giving Tuesday can be great. A fundraising goal for year end, during the last couple of the days of the year can be great. I think sometimes when it's a 6-week long fundraising goal, that's kind of too big. If you're a smaller organization or a mid-sized one, it might be too big, but having these moments where someone can feel like they can make an impact, where you say, I have a goal to raise $5,000 on Giving Tuesday or $10,000 on Giving Tuesday, that's material. If I heard that you have a goal to raise $250,000 during 6 weeks, I might think, well, my $100 is lost in the sauce there. So you want to make it feel like it's something that they can help and they're actually going to make an important impact towards.
Very, very true, Kimberly. I know we're kind of coming close to time, so I want to see if we can get through a couple of other questions here. We did have one that come through that mentioned encouraging reoccurring gifts on Giving Tuesday. How should we go about that? Not just a one-time gift, but wanting that to be reoccurring.
Your giving platform, so your giving page has the option for a monthly gift. Sometimes you can set that default to monthly, and then when that giving page pops up for them, they then can see that, and then they can make the decision themselves to give a one-time gift. We want to be able to empower our donors to give in the ways in which they want to give. And sometimes we think, well, they just want to give a one-time gift. But people who care about your cause and are giving typically don't just care about your cause one day a year, they care about it all the time. So your giving pages can be set up to give recurring gifts. And you could also put in there, that your gift would be, a monthly gift of $10 can do X, Y, or Z. So think about that. That's a great point.
Awesome. I know we're close to time here, folks. So I did want to also just mention, if you are looking for maybe some tools and services that might be able to help you get prepared for Giving Tuesday, might help you execute on your Giving Tuesday campaign, I'm just going to launch a quick poll here. Want to see if you want to fill that out, and we can have one of our colleagues reach out to you after today's session to kind of start that conversation, also answer any additional questions that you might have on our tools and services in preparation for Giving Tuesday. But while folks fill that out, I do want to apologize that we weren't able to get through all the questions. There was a lot of good ones. We're going to do our best to get through some of them in our follow-up. But Kimberly, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. This was a very, very good presentation on Giving Tuesday, some of the findings from last year and kind of how to apply those for this year. So I think I'm ready for Giving Tuesday, and and I'm sure folks
all are. I hope you all are. And just remember, everyone, we are all part of this community together. You have a bunch of fundraisers and nonprofit folks who believe in you, who have your back, and know that you can rock it this year. Good luck. And cycle back and let me know how you did. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear how you all performed.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Yes, absolutely. Please keep us in the loop on how you all perform. Lots of thank yous in the chat, Kimberly, and thank you all for your engagement this afternoon, and thank you for your time. And we definitely hope to see you again at our next session. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your afternoon.